Now this, Pope Francis will issue an encyclical on climate change and income inequality. Basically, that is a policy declaration. And if you look at the way the Pope addresses climate change, very similar, if not identical, to President Obama. All rise. Judge Andrew Napolitano is here.
Do I have to talk about this?
Well, let me spell out my case here. 35 years ago, Jean-Paul II, the Pope, had an informal alliance with Ronald Reagan to beat communism. The Pope at that time was talking morality and spirituality. Today, the Pope's talking politics.
You're actually forgetting the third person of that triumvirate,
Margaret Thatcher.
Your own Margaret Thatcher, of course. One could really argue that the three of them together, John Paul II, Ronald Reagan, and Margaret Thatcher, provided the moral basis for the liberation of Eastern Europe.
Yes.
Is the Pope going to provide the moral basis for what? Regulating the pollutants in the environment? And if that is the case, and if that's a moral argument, what concern is that of the Holy See?
He should be concerned with one's spiritual life, in my opinion.
I would think so, and I would hope so. So, look, there are three levels of papal statements. We're not talking about infallibility. There are three levels. One is a policy statement. The other two are more or less just his opinion. We don't know in what form this is going to come. We have to actually read it after it's announced. It's issued in Latin. They'll issue an English translation at the same time. I don't know if he's going to compel Catholics to a certain agreement with him. He really doesn't have the authority to do that. But is he, I think, going to suggest that the government has the duty of keeping the environment clean because that will help save the poorest among us? Now, if he wants to issue that as a political statement, to me, that's Jorge Bergoglio, also known as Pope Francis, giving a political opinion which is irrelevant to Catholicism. But if he's going to move the mechanism of the church behind something, it better not be political.
Well, if it is, look, supposing I were a Catholic who completely disagrees with I'm a global warming skeptic. I'm a Catholic and I'm a skeptic. Where does the papal position leave me? Because it is a policy letter that he's coming out with.
It should continue to leave you with freedom of conscience to accept, reject, or be skeptical about the prevailing views on global warming. If the Pope is going to say Catholics have to get behind the left on global warming, that would be absurd, and it would cause a schism in the church.
Well, isn't there it's not schism, it's schism. The K is, or the C, or whatever it is.
In the London School of Economics, it may be schism. Go ahead, Mr. Skeptic.
Can I suggest this? We're with Pope Jean-Paul II when he spiritually opposed Soviet atheism.
Right.
But we're not necessarily with Pope Francis when he politicizes climate change and income inequality.
If he politicizes it, and of course we have to wait and see what he says. This Pope is notorious for saying whatever is on his mind. But if this is an encyclical, it has been vetted by all of his theologians so that all of the language is carefully chosen and there's no ambiguity in there. If it's something less than an encyclical, if it's a papal bull, then it's not going to be that profound for the church.
Any way you slice it, when you've got President Obama aligned with Pope Francis, that is a very powerful force, shifting public opinion, in my opinion, to the left worldwide.
I agree with you, particularly on this issue, particularly on an issue where it's difficult to have a correlation between what the Pope is saying and what his duty is, which is to save souls.
Yes, absolutely.
Not political reputations, but souls, to get people into heaven after they die.
Do you think it'll give Democrats some of the Catholic vote?
No, I don't. But I don't think it will. But I think it'll give Democrats something to crow about. Even the Pope agrees with the president.
Exactly.
I mean, I could hear Hillary saying that.
Now, you didn't want to do this subject today.
Turned out to be a pretty good subject.
You were skeptical about this subject,
I
weren't
was.
you? You seem to feel better about it
Particularly
now?
about the pronunciation of schism.
Well, it's not. It's schism. How do you spell it? How do you spell it?
S-C-H-I-S-M.
Oh, schism. No question about it.
Okay, all right.
Thanks very much.
All right. Okay.
Well, I got you backed up.
Economics prevails.
Well,
yet again.
Beats Princeton every time.
Princeton?
It's Monday morning, a little, All right, Judge. Thank you very much
See you
indeed,
later.
sir.